Today, I am outside striding around, and I have a headache. Now, to be clear, I've had a headache for 2 weeks, and a few videos ago I was talking about my chronic pain condition coming back or flaring up, and the headaches are something that I haven't had in this frequency and intensity for, I think I realized, something like 7 or 8 years. And it's disheartening, to say the least. I had a migraine so bad last week that I went to the urgent care facility, spent 3 hours, got an injection, which has broken migraines for me in the past, and it didn't. So I had to go back and get a prescription for a narcotic, which, let me tell you, not my favorite thing in the world. Certainly made me forget that I was in pain. Didn't do anything to actually kill the pain, but I didn't think about it for a few hours. And then the next day I went to the chiropractor, and that killed the migraine enough that I can continue to function. Because I was not functioning for a few days. So I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about my migraines and me. I suspect that, along with the rest of my pain condition, the migraines are a function of stress. And, as we all keep saying, we're living in a stressful time right now. So yeah, that. I have arthritis in my neck. And for the most part, that's not a big deal. But when I start to get stressed and start to get tension in my shoulders and my neck and carry it, then that arthritis in my neck starts to be a really big deal. Now, I don't know that for a fact. That's just a suspicion I have. I'm not a medical doctor. Didn't ever play one on TV. But, yeah. So, that's what I've been dealing with. That's why there was no video last week. Because I was flat on my back on the couch, high as a kite, pretending like the world didn't exist. Just so happy to be outdoors again. This is something that I do for myself, that I take you guys along on. When I go out for walks, I work through things, and I get fresh air, and I get exercise, and I'm hoping that eventually this will be something that is helpful to my peeps. Last time I was talking about tracks. I'm looking at mountain bike tracks under my feet. So there have been a lot more people down this path than the last time I was here. There's also a horse track somebody rode. And lots of people prints. More of those squirrel tracks that I saw last time. I'm wearing ice cleats because it's icy and I really don't feel like falling. Among other things, jostling my head like that is just not fun. I've been thinking about a few things about my headaches. I'm thinking about the language that I use. And I've been thinking about self-compassion or patterns. You know, what I talk a lot about our patterns and our routines. And one of the things that I have always done is driven myself really hard. And I'm proud of my drive. But there are times that it's not necessarily helpful or in my own best interest. As I mentioned, I haven't had these headaches for about 8 years, but for about 7 or 8 years before that, I did. It took about 5 years for them to ramp up to a migraine a day, every single day. But then I kept working with them like that. Like, I kept just living my life, soldiering through, because, damn it, that's what you do. I didn't see any other option, period. No other option, including, like, calling in sick to work. It's not like I didn't have paid time off, but, you know, there were a handful of days in the last 3 years of working that I would go home early, but I never called in sick to begin with. And I was always proud of that. And I feel like my perspective is changing a little bit on a lot of things. But last Wednesday morning, I was all dressed and ready for work and fighting this wicked migraine that I'd had for 5 days at that point, and just miserable. My partner said, "Why don't you call in sick to work?" Totally innocent question. I burst into tears because that's not something I've ever even considered. It's not something I allow myself to do. It's just not a thing. And, you know, I usually take tears as an indication that something's up with me. And something was up, and I called in sick because of a migraine for the first time ever. And you know what? The migraine got worse. Like, it didn't feel relieved and let up because I gave it acknowledgement. It got worse. And it got so much worse that I had to call in sick on Thursday. And that's when I ended up going to urgent care. And it was horrible. And I was panicking because I had spent 8 years with migraines. And 3 years with migraines every single day. And I have had a headache for over 2 weeks now. And it was triggering all kinds of fear of pain in me and fear of going back to that, because what had to happen is I had to stop working. I tried to get on disability because I was just so incapacitated by my migraines and my other symptoms, but really my migraines. And it, you know, even just now talking about it, thinking about it, my headache is flaring. And I just couldn't believe that allowing myself to take a sick day meant that the migraine got worse. Like, it made no sense to me. Like, hello, I'm paying attention to my body. Shouldn't it just get better? What am I going to do? Like, I was just completely panic stricken. And 3 days later, I figured out how to get it to stop, or at least cut down enough to function. I have not called in sick since then. I have not taken a narcotic since then, but I have taken prescription strength pain reliever twice. And let's see, I think Monday I was talking to somebody and they asked about my headache, and I was like, well, I didn't take any painkillers today. Like, I go back to that, the gauge. Like, I always have a headache. That's just a thing. I will always have a headache. But the gauge is whether or not I took a painkiller. Can I say, not a way to live? Like I said, panicked. And then I was talking to my mom yesterday, I think. And we get into that word play thing. The words we use are incredibly important. So, in my coaching, I talk a lot about what words we use, outwardly and inwardly. I was saying to my mom that I call them headaches because one can function with a headache. And migraines are big, bad, horrible. One doesn't function with a migraine. And I had neurologists, I had a rheumatologist. Like, this is not, both of them agree that these are migraines. and I call them headaches to myself. Oh, I have a headache. And it allows, it forces me, because of the language I'm using, it forces me to function. Or it makes me force myself to function, I guess. And it's a little game of pretend I play with myself. It also means that because it's my shorthand for myself, it's what I call it for myself, it means it's what I call it to other people. And so, I call in sick with a headache. That's crap. People can function with headaches. What's the problem? And so it's this thing, and my mom goes, well, call them migraines to everybody else. I'm like, yeah, but if I say migraines out loud all the time when talking to other people, that means I'm saying it to myself too. It doesn't, it's a thing. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to say. And then I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it now, and is allowing myself, all this wordplay, right? All this wordplay that I'm big on. I'm not allowing an ounce of compassion towards myself. I am being hard, as hard. I'm demanding more of myself than I can give, and getting it, right? That's the flip side of it. I managed to work for 3 or 4 years with a migraine every single day. None of the prescriptions that anybody gave me actually helped with the pain. But I know how to drive myself. I know how to screw around with myself. But it is not compassionate. It's not kind. And that's just an example. That's just an example of how I have driven myself and treated myself. And it's so not cool. But I think that's where it just comes down to, is I would never treat somebody else that I cared about the way that I treat myself. And that's been a thing that I've thought about and talked about for the last few years. It's like, okay, how would you treat somebody else? And I don't know, par for the course, or of course, when I start to think about it, for me, I just do these things because they're patterns, they're routines that I have set up. How to handle me and life in a non-compassionate way. I consider myself a compassionate person, but that's really only to other people. And I guess when I'm thinking about it that way, of course my headache flared when I showed a little bit of self-compassion. It was my body going, yeah, dude. Yeah, you hurt. You finally just noticed that you hurt. You finally just noticed that you hurt enough to do something about it. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know what, because I've just gotten there. I don't know what showing myself compassion means. I don't know what it looks like. Stay tuned. I guess that's it's the uphill climb. It's going against everything that I've ever done for myself. Is to show myself compassion. Is to call it a migraine every day, because that's what I have. And it's something that most people cannot function with. And yet I function. So I can show myself compassion, and when it's horrible, give myself a break. I can show myself compassion by saying, wow, you're really awesome. You've done this for a long time, and you keep doing it. I don't know. Maybe it'll change stuff. Maybe the other stuff that I'm doing is going to change stuff. Maybe it's a combination of it all. Nothing is cut and dry. Just the fact that narcotics don't actually help. They just make it so that you don't care. But I want to find something that helps. I want to care. I want to care about myself. I want the self-compassion. And maybe that's all my mind wants too. I think that's all my headache and my arthritic neck and my shoulders want, is me to care about me instead of just go, go, go. And then identifying that there's a stressful situation and continuing to go. Like, no, I don't know how to get out of this all right now. But maybe just caring about myself is what needs to really happen from the start. There's little bird tracks around here that are too small to be turkey or like I would say they were chicken, so I'm gonna guess they're grouse of some sort. And the sheer fact, I'm gonna stop, the sheer fact that I can now really take in the bird tracks, and down there at the pond I could really take in the beautiful cloud patterns going on. It means I've worked out my shit. I'm gonna take care of myself. It feels pretty good. Talk to you later.